Welcome to our channel. In a bold and meticulously planned joint operation, Ukraine achieved a major victory by intercepting a transport train carrying a fleet of advanced SU-57 jets, destined for the Russian military. This operation dealt a significant blow to Russia in the ongoing Ukraine-Russia conflict and caused President Vladimir Putin to be deeply concerned about the course of events. In the delicately performed operation, the ground and air forces were organized with a strategic maneuver that caught the Russian army unprepared. The operation began when Ukrainian special forces received a critical intelligence tip-off. The tracking of the train's movements for days had led to this moment. The cargo it was carrying was none other than a fleet of SU-57 fighter jets, coveted for their state-of-the-art technologies and stealth capabilities. These jets were an important target not only for Russia, but for all armies, and Ukraine had its eye on them. During the operation, Ukraine's intelligence agencies had meticulously monitored the movement of the train for several days, using an extensive network of informants and the latest technology to ensure precision in surveillance. The decision to take action only when the perfect opportunity arose underlined the prudent and careful planning that characterizes the operation. The secret surveillance of the train was a complex process that involved close monitoring of its route and schedule. The train had become the focus of attention, with intelligence agents tracking its every move as it headed towards the Ukrainian border. The train's route had been carefully planned, with Ukrainian intelligence agents mapping out its path from the point of departure to its intended destination. Every possible detail was recorded, from the stops he would make along the way to the specific routes he would take through Ukraine. This information allowed the Ukrainian military planners to predict the movements of the train with remarkable precision. The operation was launched when the train entered a strategically advantageous position on the territory of Ukraine. This was not a coincidence, but the result of careful planning and meticulous implementation. The chosen location provided the Ukrainian forces with significant advantages, including geographical features that will help the success of the mission. The decision to make an attack when the train reached this special position was due to the desire to maximize the chances of success of the operation. This allowed the Ukrainian forces to position themselves effectively and prepare for a coordinated attack that would catch the Russian army off guard. This level of detail in the planning and implementation reflected the seriousness of the operation and the high risks involved. The Ukrainian intelligence agencies left nothing to chance, and the seizure of the SU-57 fighter jets ensured that the operation proceeded with the utmost precision and strategic advantage. Ukrainian ground forces had been meticulously positioned as the train passed through a remote area close to the border. The choice of this remote region was deliberate, as it gives a significant advantage to the Ukrainian army. With the fact that the area was empty and its rugged terrain, it offered a secret and strategic location for the operation. As the train was approaching the Ukrainian border, it entered a remote area carefully selected for the operation. This sparsely populated and hilly area offered obvious advantages. It was a prudent and strategically important event, providing the ideal backdrop for a covert operation of this magnitude. The operation was the elite Ukrainian ground forces, a highly specialized unit of soldiers, whose expertise and dedication were an integral part of the success of the operation. These troops, tasked with stopping the train with unparalleled speed and precision, represented the cornerstone of the mission. The members of this elite unit were carefully selected from the ranks of the armed forces of Ukraine due to their outstanding skills and unwavering devotion to duty. They were veterans of numerous operations and had undergone rigorous training to prepare themselves for high-risk operations like this one. Their role in the operation had been meticulously planned and rehearsed. The soldiers had practiced their movements repeatedly, carefully choreographing each step to ensure the highest efficiency. These exercises were carried out under conditions that mimicked the condition of the train, allowing the soldiers to quickly adapt when the time came. When the operation was launched and the train was immobilized, the ground forces acted with extraordinary precision and coordination. Their actions were synchronized to prevent a possible escape or resistance. Each soldier knew his role and fulfilled it with unwavering determination. This equipment allowed them to react quickly. As the soldiers approached the train, which was left motionless, they used concealment and hiding techniques to hide. This strategic use of the terrain and surrounding objects allowed them to preserve the element of surprise and minimize their exposure. Close-range combat skills were at the forefront of the expertise of ground forces. They were prepared for any potential resistance on the train, and their training in chest-to-chest collision and room-clearing tactics made them a formidable force in such situations. The ultimate goal of the ground forces was to secure the cargo of SU-57 fighter jets. This required not only speed and precision, but also a keen understanding of the delicate nature of the cargo. Special procedures were implemented to ensure that the aircraft's systems were disabled in order to prevent possible sabotage attempts. The elite ground forces, with their unwavering commitment, extensive training, and unique precision, have been instrumental in ensuring the safety of the valuable SU-57 fighter jets. Their role in the operation highlighted the professionalism and expertise of the Ukrainian army and made the operation a story of victory against all odds. Simultaneously, Ukrainian warplanes also took to the skies in a synchronized effort to secure air superiority over the region. The decision to deploy the fighter jets was a bold and unexpected move that caught the Russian military off guard. These aircraft were a critical element in the success of the operation with their agility and firepower. The audacity of the operation was due to the fact that the Russian military had not expected such a bold move from the Ukrainian armed forces. Secrecy was an important factor in the success of the mission. The Russian army was used to different expectations, and this unexpected maneuver of the Ukrainian army changed the rules of war. The deployment of warplanes and the subsequent strategic positioning of ground forces were tactical masterpieces that allowed the Ukrainian army to quickly gain the upper hand. With air superiority secured and ground forces ready for action, it had effectively isolated its train and cargo and made it vulnerable to capture. The Russian military's failure to foresee this audacious move underscored the strategic superiority Ukraine has achieved and enabled the successful capture of its valuable Su-57 fighter jets. The operation was not only meticulously planned, but also expertly executed, which further strengthened Ukraine's faith in preserving its territorial integrity against external threats. With the train immobilized and the area coming under Ukrainian control, the critical phase of the operation focused on ensuring the safety of the cargo of advanced Su-57 fighter jets. The Ukrainian forces, equipped with special vehicles and advanced equipment suitable for the task, started this meticulous process with great care and precision. The soldiers approached each aircraft with a methodical and systematic approach, ensuring that no details were overlooked. The importance of this mission cannot be overstated, as the Su-57 fighter jets represent an important strategic asset that the Ukrainian military is determined to prevent from falling into the wrong hands. The potential for sabotage by Russian agents on the seized Su-57 fighter jets was the primary concern during the securing process. The Ukrainian forces agreed that it was necessary to ensure the safe deactivation of the aircraft's systems to prevent any damage that might result from sabotage attempts. To solve this critical problem, they have taken comprehensive measures to minimize the risk. The first step in reducing the risk of sabotage was to ensure the safety of sensitive areas of the aircraft. Ukrainian forces cordoned off access to the cockpit, avionics compartments, and other critical components to prevent unauthorized entry. Ukrainian technicians used special equipment to disable the Su-57 SI electronic systems in an attempt to thwart attempts to interfere with or remotely activate the aircraft systems. This process involved disconnecting or physically removing components to render the aircraft's avionics, communication systems, and navigation equipment inoperable. Some vital components and data storage devices were removed from the aircraft. This ensured that sensitive information and technology remained under Ukrainian control and were not open to abuse or tampering by external actors. In order to prevent any physical acts of sabotage, such as interfering with the structure or systems of the aircraft, each aircraft was placed under constant surveillance by the Ukrainian security forces. The presence of armed guards ensured that unauthorized personnel could not approach the aircraft unnoticed. The Russian military's failure to foresee this audacious move underscored the strategic superiority Ukraine has achieved and enabled the successful capture of its valuable Su-57 fighter jets. The operation was not only meticulously planned, but also expertly executed, which further strengthened Ukraine's faith in preserving its territorial integrity against external threats. With the train immobilized and the area coming under Ukrainian control, the critical phase of the operation focused on ensuring the safety of the cargo of advanced Su-57 fighter jets. The Ukrainian forces, equipped with special vehicles and advanced equipment suitable for the task, started this meticulous process with great care and precision. The soldiers approached each aircraft with a methodical and systematic approach, ensuring that no details were overlooked. The importance of this mission cannot be overstated, as the Su-57 fighter jets represent an important strategic asset that the Ukrainian military is determined to prevent from falling into the wrong hands. The potential for sabotage by Russian agents on the seized Su-57 fighter jets was the primary concern during the securing process. The Ukrainian forces agreed that it was necessary to ensure the safe deactivation of the aircraft systems to prevent any damage that might result from sabotage attempts. To solve this critical problem, they have taken comprehensive measures to minimize the risk. The first step in reducing the risk of sabotage was to ensure the safety of sensitive areas of the aircraft. Ukrainian forces cordoned off access to the cockpit, avionics compartments, and other critical components to prevent unauthorized entry. Ukrainian technicians used special equipment to disable the Su-57's electronic systems in an attempt to thwart attempts to interfere with or remotely activate the aircraft's systems. This process involved disconnecting or physically removing components to render the aircraft's avionics, communication systems, and navigation equipment inoperable. Some vital components and data storage devices were removed from the aircraft. This ensured that sensitive information and technology remained under Ukrainian control and were not open to abuse or tampering by external actors. In order to prevent any physical acts of sabotage, such as interfering with the structure or systems of the aircraft, each aircraft was placed under constant surveillance by the Ukrainian security forces. The presence of armed guards ensured that unauthorized personnel could not approach the aircraft unnoticed. A strict documentation process was created to record every step of the deactivation process. Detailed records were kept in order to ensure transparency and accountability, and every action taken was meticulously recorded. After the deactivation process, a final verification was performed on the aircraft to confirm that all electronic systems were indeed inoperable. This verification included extensive reviews and electronic tests to guarantee that there was no functionality left. Even after the process of ensuring safety was completed, the Su-57s were subject to constant surveillance to monitor for any possible tampering attempts or unauthorized access. The comprehensive measures taken to safely disable the aircraft's systems and provide protection against sabotage revealed the determination of the Ukrainian forces to protect the integrity of the seized Su-57 fighter jets. It was a critical element in protecting assets and ensuring that they were not exploited or used against Ukraine or its allies. The successful capture of the Su-57 fighter jets has deep implications for the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, as it reshapes the dynamics and balance of power in the region. These advanced aircraft were the cornerstone of Russia's military strategy, and their loss represents a major setback for the Kremlin and its military goals. The Su-57 fighter jets were intended to significantly strengthen Russia's military capabilities, offer the most advanced technological advantage, and increased firepower. Their loss dealt a serious blow to the aspirations of the Russian army and its vision of establishing military dominance in the region. While the price of victories has been heavy, both sides have suffered casualties and losses. The determination of the Ukrainian army to defend its homeland remains steadfast. The sacrifices made by the soldiers and their families have only strengthened their determination to protect the territorial integrity and freedom of their nation. As the conflict continues to develop, the international community is watching closely and appreciates the courage and determination shown by the Ukrainian armed forces in the face of a powerful enemy. The ongoing hostilities underscore the importance of finding a peaceful solution to the conflict through diplomacy and dialogue. The world stands united in support of Ukraine's sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling for an end to violence and a return to negotiations. The extraordinary courage and determination of the Ukrainian soldiers serve as a testament to the indomitable will of the human spirit to protect what is precious, their love for their homeland, their people, and their freedom. With a stunning show of endurance and strength, the Ukrainian armed forces successfully repulsed the invading Russian army from several important occupied territories, inflicting a major defeat on the Putin regime. The liberation of cities and regions once held by Russian troops has now rekindled a sense of hope and pride among the Ukrainian people and demonstrated their unwavering determination to protect their sovereignty. Deka. According to our sources, the liberation of these critical areas marks a turning point in the ongoing conflict, with Ukrainian forces regaining control of their territory and pushing back the occupying forces. The battles for these strategic positions were arduous, with the Ukrainian soldiers showing extraordinary courage and determination in the face of a formidable enemy. The recapture of these territories did not take place without sacrifices. Ukrainian forces have encountered heavy resistance and have paid a high price for retaking their territory. However, their commitment to defending their homeland and protecting their freedom was unyielding. Our teams, which demonstrate a meticulous and dangerous work in the region, present to you the details of the operation information. Before moving on to the operational details, you can like us, share videos, and subscribe to support our hardworking team. Details of the operation: neutralizing the threat posed by Russian tanks and protecting strategically important regions from invading forces. According to our sources, Ukrainian military intelligence closely monitored and gathered important information about the movements, positions, and capabilities of the invading Russian tanks. This intelligence was necessary to develop a well-informed and effective counterattack strategy. Ukrainian military strategists have identified key vulnerable points in Russian tank formations. These points were to be targeted during the operation to maximize the impact on the enemy's offensive capabilities. Anti-tank weapons were used. The armed forces of Ukraine strategically deployed advanced anti-tank weapons, including state-of-the-art guided missile systems and precision-guided ammunition. These weapons are designed to pierce heavily armored tanks with high accuracy and devastating effect. Ukrainian forces carried out highly coordinated ground maneuvers to attack Russian tanks from multiple directions. This strategy was aimed at surprising and overwhelming the enemy, preventing them from responding effectively to the attack. Ukrainian soldiers set up well-hidden ambush positions in several key areas to confuse the advancing Russian tanks. These ambush tactics allowed the Ukrainian forces to attack with precision and catch the enemy unprepared. While the price of victories has been heavy, both sides have suffered casualties and losses. The determination of the Ukrainian army to defend its homeland remains steadfast. The sacrifices made by the soldiers and their families have only strengthened their determination to protect the territorial integrity and freedom of their nation. As the conflict continues to develop, the international community is watching closely and appreciates the courage and determination shown by the Ukrainian armed forces in the face of a powerful enemy. The ongoing hostilities underscore the importance of finding a peaceful solution to the conflict through diplomacy and dialogue. Ukrainian air assets provided critical support during the operation. Attack helicopters and fighter jets were tasked with attacking enemy tanks from above, providing additional October firepower and disrupting Russian tank formations. The armed forces of Ukraine carried out the operation with extraordinary skill and determination. The deployed anti-tank weapons proved highly effective, successfully neutralizing a significant number of Russian tanks during intense clashes. The strategic deployment of advanced weapons and coordinated ground maneuvers dealt heavy blows to the invading Russian tanks. The loss of the tanks significantly hampered the enemy's offensive capabilities and interrupted their planned advance. According to our sources, the success of the operation has raised the morale of the Ukrainian forces. The operation demonstrated the effectiveness of their military tactics and the endurance of their soldiers, instilling a sense of confidence in their ability to defend their homeland. The resolute response of the Ukrainian armed forces to the Russian tanks sent a clear message to the invaders that further aggression will be met with fierce resistance. He demonstrated his determination to defend the sovereignty and territorial integrity of Ukraine at all costs. The success of the operation marked a significant turning point in the conflict and proved that the Ukrainian armed forces are a force to be reckoned with. As the conflict continues, the operation reminded Russian forces that the Ukrainian army is capable of defending its homeland with exceptional skill and determination. As the news of these victories spreads, it mobilizes the Ukrainian people, raises their morale, and strengthens their determination to unite against the Russian invasion. The armed forces of Ukraine have won the respect and admiration of the international community by proving their capabilities and determination on the battlefield. The Putin regime, on the other hand, is grappling with the consequences of its aggressive actions. The setbacks in key regions have not only weakened their regional dominance, but also inflamed internal dissent and the questioning of Putin's leadership. The continued resistance and determination of the Ukrainian forces have revealed the weaknesses of the invading Russian army and raised doubts about the effectiveness of their offensive strategy. As the conflict continues to develop, the world is watching with a mixture of concern and hope. The courage and fortitude displayed by the Ukrainian forces has inspired many, underscoring the indomitable spirit of a nation fighting for its freedom. The path to peace remains unclear, but the unwavering determination of the Ukrainian people to protect their homeland serves as a beacon of hope for a brighter and more stable future. The armed forces of Ukraine demonstrated their capabilities by demonstrating remarkable military prowess, effectively neutralizing the threat posed by Russian tanks during intense clashes. With the strategic deployment of advanced anti-tank weapons and highly coordinated ground maneuvers, the Ukrainian forces inflicted heavy blows on the invading Russian tanks, paralyzing their offensive capabilities. As the conflict escalated, the Ukrainian army demonstrated its readiness and ability to face a formidable enemy head-on. They were strategically positioned and used state-of-the-art anti-tank weapons, carefully choosing the best vantage points to effectively collide with Russian tanks. According to our sources, the deployment of anti-tank guided missiles, ATGMs, and other advanced anti-tank weapons allowed Ukrainian forces to engage the enemy from a safe distance while maintaining precision and accuracy. The operators of these sophisticated weapons displayed extraordinary skill and knowledge, allowing each attack to hit its target with devastating effect. In October, in addition to their advanced weapons, Ukrainian forces carried out well-coordinated ground operations to defeat Russian tank units. The soldiers displayed outstanding combat agility, quickly adapting to changing conditions and effectively exploiting the weaknesses of the enemy. The Ukrainian armed forces, thanks to a combination of technological superiority and tactical expertise, systematically weakened the Russian tank offensive. The destruction of several Russian tanks dealt a significant blow to the occupying forces and caused them to reevaluate their strategy and approach. The successful neutralization of Russian tanks not only raised the morale of Ukrainian troops, but also resonated in the region, sending a clear message to the international community about Ukraine's determination and capabilities in defending its homeland. As the conflict continues, the world is watching with a mixture of admiration and concern. The valor of the Ukrainian armed forces has earned them respect on the global stage, with many countries recognizing their courage and determination in the face of difficulties. However, the situation remains volatile and complex as both sides grapple for control and influence. While diplomatic efforts are underway to find a peaceful solution, the international community is calling for an end to hostilities and a return to negotiations. In the midst of the ongoing conflict, one thing is certain: the determination of the Ukrainian armed forces to defend their homeland is unshakable. Their ability to effectively neutralize Russian tanks is a testament to the indomitable spirit of a nation that will stop at nothing to protect its sovereignty and territorial integrity. The escalating conflict in Ukraine and a series of military defeats have put enormous pressure on Vladimir Putin's leadership both domestically and internationally. The failures of the Russian military and the deteriorating situation in Ukraine have triggered growing discontent among Russian ranks, raising doubts about the effectiveness of Putin's decisional mechanism and military strategies. According to our sources, inside Russia, reports of casualties and failed operations in Ukraine have begun to erode confidence in Putin's ability to effectively manage the nation during this crisis. As news of Russian military defeats reached the public, questions arose about the wisdom of escalating the conflict with Ukraine and the potential costs of continued aggression. In addition, the Russian economy has begun to feel the pressure of conflicts and international sanctions imposed on the country due to its activities in Ukraine. As the conflict has dragged on, concerns about the economic impact and the potential for further isolation from the international community have deepened, increasing discontent. Internationally, Putin has faced increasing criticism for Russia's actions in Ukraine and its ongoing aggression. The invasion of a sovereign nation and the disregard of international norms caused condemnation from many countries of the world. Calls for increased sanctions against Russia and further isolation of the Putin regime have gained momentum. The conflict in Ukraine has also exposed divisions within the Russian military leadership and raised questions about the competence and effectiveness of military decision-making. A series of defeats and setbacks have led to tension among Russian commanders, some of whom decry Putin's approach to the conflict. Amid these difficulties, some opposition figures in Russia have taken advantage of the situation to voice their opposition to Putin's leadership. Accusing him of escalating tensions with Ukraine and putting the country's interests at risk, they criticize the way he handled the conflict. As the conflict continues and casualties mount, public opinion in Russia has become increasingly critical of the government's intervention in Ukraine. Demonstrations and protests calling for an end to the conflict and the return of Russian troops from Ukraine have become more frequent. The situation has put Putin's leadership to the test, and he faces difficult choices in navigating the complexity of the conflict. Increasing pressure, both from within Russia and from the international community, has challenged its ability to maintain control and stability. The conflict in Ukraine has had far-reaching consequences on Putin's leadership and Russia's standing in the world. While the situation remained volatile, the future course of the conflict and its impact on Putin's leadership and the Russian state remained unclear. The global community followed the developments closely, looking for a solution that would put an end to the hostilities and restore stability to the region. The hot developments of the Ukraine-Russia conflict. We will continue to monitor the situation closely and provide you with the latest updates. Keep watching our other videos. Don't forget to support our videos, post comments, and like them.